Here are the 10 most underrated and underworked muscles that you need to start training. Number 10 is the Tibialis Anterior, which lies next to the tibia or shin bone and pulls the foot up while also stabilizing and loading the ankle laterally. Training the Tibialis Anterior dramatically increases explosivity and the ability to quickly stop, move laterally, and absorb shock during heavy landings. It increases ankle mobility, balance, and coordination, and prevents and rehabs injuries to the Achilles tendon, calves, knees, and shin splints. Plus, the Tibialis Anterior just looks awesome when it's well developed. So how do you work it? By placing resistance against dorsiflexion, aka toe raises. I prefer using a cable machine to do it, like this, because you can hit lengthened range of motion much better. But you can use a weight plate like this as well if you don't have access to cables. Number 9 is the Serratus Anterior, which wraps around the side of the chest. It also looks awesome when well developed, yet most people never directly train it, which you need to do, and for more than just looks. Although, come on, they do look freaking awesome. A weak serratus anterior, though, is one of the most common causes of shoulder injuries, and causes winged scapula. A strong serratus anterior is essential for all overhead movements and range of motion. It opens up the chest and improves posture, preventing neck and back pain. Some people think it gets worked enough with press exercises, but it's only a secondary agonist there at best. To get a strong developed serratus anterior, you need to directly train its 3 different movements. Stiff arm scapular protraction, which can be done with a cable like this, with dumbbells like this, or with only body weight like this. And scapular abduction, which can be done with a cable like this, with dumbbells like this, or with body weight like this. And scapular upward rotation, which can also be done with a cable, with dumbbells, or with body weight. Number 8 is the Flexor Digitorum Profundus, or FDP. It sits on the underside of the forearm and is the largest of all 19 forearm muscles by far. So training it will give you the biggest bang for your buck. It's also the primary determinant of your grip strength, which also basically determines how well you can work your arms and back, and the firmness of your handshake, which has been proven to subconsciously convey strength, confidence, and reliability. Yet it's drastically underdeveloped in most people, even in people who do target their forearms, because they don't know its anatomical secret. Unlike all the other forearm muscles, the FDP inserts on the very tips of your fingers. So to really hit it, you need to work flexion of the very last segments of your fingers, ideally with your wrist in a hyperextended or bent back position. Here's what that looks like with a cable, supporting your wrist with a bench, then letting the handle drop all the way down to your fingertips before curling them back in. And here's what that looks like with a dumbbell, again letting it drop all the way down to your fingertips with your wrist hyperextended on your leg. Number 7 is the Soleus deep calf muscle. Most people never directly work it because to do so, you have to train calf raises with your knees bent to at least 90 degrees, which puts the stronger gastrocnemius calf muscle into active insufficiency, leaving the load for the soleus. And the benefits of soleus training will blow your mind. In a recent study, researchers discovered that direct bent knee soleus training can raise whole body fat metabolism by up to 300% for hours. For some perspective on how crazy that is, all 600 muscles put together normally only contribute to about 15% of the body's metabolic rate. There aren't even any drugs that come close to raising whole body metabolism by 300%. Plus, it'll make your calves bigger. The soleus also has the highest percentage of slow twitch fibers of any muscle in the body, so whether you use a machine, free weights, or body weight to train it, you'll want to use a high volume of slow tempo reps. Muscle number 6 is the Teres Minor, which sits on the back of the shoulder and is one of the 4 rotator cuff muscles. A weak Teres Minor is the most common root cause of rotator cuff tears, because almost no one adequately strengthens it. Why? Because the Teres Minor is only significantly engaged via external shoulder rotation when your arm is raised to the side. Here's what it looks like with free weights, and here's what it looks like on a cable machine. You need to train this movement for a strong and healthy rotator cuff, which in turn is essential for building your entire upper body. Number 5 is the longest muscle in the entire body, the Sartorius. The Sartorius assists with no less than 7 different movements: hip flexion, hip abduction and hip adduction, hip external rotation, anterior pelvic tilt, knee flexion, and knee internal rotation. So you can see how a weak Sartorius will really mess things up. It's pivotal for sprint speed and explosivity, and hip and knee stability and injury prevention. It also looks pretty darn cool when developed, and makes the teardrop VMO really stand out. The problem is that, although it assists with all those movements, it's not a primary agonist in any of them. So training those movements individually doesn't work the Sartorius well. To make the Sartorius a primary target, you have to combine multiple of its movements. Like with this exercise, which I call the hacky sack, which combines hip flexion with hip adduction, hip external rotation, knee flexion, and anterior pelvic tilt. And the Sartorius is the only muscle that can do all of those, thus nailing it far better than anything else. Number 4 is a group of muscles that most people are actually taught not to work at all, by people who tell them to always keep a straight back while lifting. It's the Erector Spinae muscles, which extend and hyperextend the back, especially the upper and middle spine. So if you always keep your back straight, you're never working the Erector Spinae, which makes them weak and stiffens your spine, which ironically makes you more susceptible to injury. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're doing something like deadlifting or squatting, you should keep a straight back. But bending and straightening the spine is an essential functional movement, so you need to train it. One of the best ways to do so is the Jefferson curl, demonstrated here, where you bend your spine down one vertebrae at a time from top to bottom, then reverse that movement back up. Start with extremely light weight or no weight and go very slowly because your Erector Spinae is likely very weak and tight. Then you can gradually work your way up. Number 3 is the Gluteus Medius. There are 3 glute muscles: maximus, medius, and minimus. Most people only train maximus. However, in modern society, training medius is even more important. Why? Partly because we all already work the gluteus maximus every day, just by walking, sitting down, and standing up. Gluteus medius, though, is a laterally based muscle. It's only engaged in side-to-side movements, which most people don't do at all on a daily basis. However, a strong gluteus medius is essential for hip and knee health and stability. If you haven't trained it, and one day you suddenly have to quickly move laterally, pop, you're in trouble. A simple way to test your own gluteus medius strength is to see how well you can stand on one leg without dropping the opposite hip. It actually also produces a greater peak force during running than any other hip muscle, including gluteus maximus. And, of course, it makes your butt look better. To train gluteus medius, you need to work 2 movements, because the anterior and posterior gluteus medius regions are activated differently due to the principle of regional hypertrophy. First is hip abduction, which targets its front region. Here's what that looks like with cables, with free weights, and with body weight only. And second is hip external rotation, which targets its back region. Guys, this machine is not only for women. Use it. And you can also use a cable machine like this, or resistance bands like this. Number 2 are the deep neck flexors. Almost everyone these days has weak, shortened neck flexors, thanks both to smartphones and to people completely neglecting to train them. And weak neck flexors lead to tech neck with cervical spine misalignment, which creates neck and back pain and chronic headaches. The easiest way to train them is via a head harness like this, although you can just hold a weight to your head if you need. Either way, use lightweight and slow, controlled movements. And be sure to work neck flexion at multiple different angles. Finally, my number 1 undertrained muscle is the Quadratus Lumborum, or QL. It's located deep in the lower back, and not training it is one of the gravest mistakes you can make. For one, a weak QL is the most common mechanical cause of lower back pain. It also causes poor sitting posture, which creates a domino effect of dozens of other injuries and chronic conditions. And it drastically increases your risk of lumbar spine injury during lifts like the deadlift and squat. I myself neglected to train my QL in my 20s, and it led to 2 disc bulges and degeneration in my lower back. So how do you train it? First, the QL extends the lumbar spine, so you need exercises like this one that work lumbar extension with your lower body fixed, and like this one, that work lumbar extension with your upper body fixed. But that's not all, because the QL also performs lateral flexion of the lumbar spine, aka bends the lower back side to side. So in addition to side bend exercises like this one, and this one, you also need to perform lumbar extensions while twisting your lower spine, like you see here. And be sure to twist in both directions so that you're working both sides equally. There's also something called the QL walk, which you see here, which effectively combines both lumbar extension with a slight side-to-side movement. Yes, it looks very awkward, but it is very effective. If you think I missed an underrated and underworked muscle that should be on this list, let me know in the comment section and I might do a part 2. If you want to know how to successfully integrate these muscles into a total body routine, check out the programs and memberships that I'll link in the video description, where you can also get more free content by joining my highly popular Fitness Tip Friday email newsletter. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on new video notifications so that you don't miss any of my future content. Mahalo, my friends. Until next time.